Edgar Allan Poe is one of my favorite authors. Today, we're going to take a look at one of his classics, The Raven. We'll be looking at in the manga style for Manga Classics, adapted by Stacy King. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary, over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore. Suddenly there came a tapping, while I nodded, nearly napping. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. Only this, and nothing more. Ah, distinctly I remember, it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. From my book surcease of sorrow for the lost Lenore. Ah, eagerly I wished the morrow, vainly I had sought to borrow. For the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels name Lenore, nameless here for evermore. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me, and fantastic terrors never felt before. Some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. This it is, and nothing more. So that now to still the beating of my heart I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door." But the fact is I was napping, and so gently you came rapping, and so faintly you came tapping at my chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you. Here I opened wide the door. Presently my soul grew stronger, hesitating then no longer. "Sir," said I, "or madam, truly your forgiveness I implore." Darkness there, and nothing more. Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there, wondering, fearing. But the silence was unbroken, and the stillness gave no token. Doubting, dreaming, dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. This I whispered, and an echo murmured back the word, "Lenore." Merely this, and nothing more. And the only word there spoken was the whispered word, "Lenore." Back into the chamber turning, all my soul within me burning. Soon again I heard a tapping, somewhat louder than before. Let me see then, and thereat it is, and this mystery explore. "Surely," said I, "surely that is something at my window lattice. Let my heart be still a moment, and this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind, and nothing more." Open here I flung the shutter, when with many a flirt and flutter, in there stepped a stately raven of the saintly days of yore, perched upon a bust of Pallas, just above my chamber door, perched and sat, and nothing more. Not the least obeisance made he, not a minute stopped or stayed he, but with mien of lord or lady, perched above my chamber door. Then this ebony bird beguiling, my sad fancy into smiling, by the grave and stern decorum of the countenance it wore. Ghastly grim, an ancient raven, wandering from the nightly shore. Thou thy crest be sworn and shaven, thou, I said, art sure no craven. Tell me what thy lordly name is on the night's Plutonian shore. Quoth the raven, never more. For we cannot help agreeing that no living human being yet ever was blessed with seeing bird above his chamber door. Much I marvel this ungainly fowl to hear discourse so plainly, thou its answers little meaning, little relevance bore, with such name as nevermore. Bird or beast upon the sculptured bust above his chamber door. But the raven, sitting lonely on the placid bust, spoke only that one word, as if his soul in that one word he did outpour. Nothing further than he uttered, not a feather then he fluttered. On the morrow he will leave me, as my hopes have flown before, till I scarcely more than muttered, other friends have flown before. Never more than the bird did said. Doubtless, said I, startled at the stillness broken by reply, so aptly spoken, what it utters is its only stock and store. Caught from some unhappy master, whom unmerciful disaster followed fast and followed faster, till his songs one burden bore, till the dirges of his hope that melancholy burden bore of never, never more. But the raven still beguiling all my fancy into smiling, then upon the velvet sinking, I betook myself to linking fancy into fancy thinking, what's this ominous bird of yore? Straight I wheeled a cushioned seat in front of bird and bust and door. Never more. What this grim, ungainly, ghastly, gaunt, and ominous bird of yore meant in croaking. This I sat engaged in guessing, but no syllable expressing to the fowl whose fiery eyes now burned into my bosom's core. This and more I sat divining, with my head at ease reclining on the cushion's velvet lining, that the lamp gloated o'er. But whose velvet violet lining with the lamplight gloating o'er she shall press, never more. Then, methought, the air grew denser, perfumed from an unseen censer, swung by seraphim whose footfalls tinkled on the tufted floor. Wretch, I cried, thy God hath lent thee, by these angels he hath sent thee, respite, respite and nepenthe from thy memories of Lenore. Quoth the raven, never more. Quaff, oh quaff this kind nepenthe, and forget this lost Lenore. Prophet, said I, whether tempter sent or whether tempest toss thee here ashore, thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil, desolate yet all undoubted on this desert land enchanted, on this home by horror haunted, tell me truly, I implore, is there Is there balm in Gilead? Tell me, I implore. Quoth the raven, never more. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil. By that heaven that bends above us, by that God we both adore, tell this soul with sorrow laden, if within the distant Aidenn it shall clasp a sainted maiden, whom the angels name Lenore. Clasp a rare and radiant maiden, whom the angels name Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Be that word or sign of parting, bird or fiend, I shrieked, upstarting, get thee back into the tempest and the night's Plutonian shore. Leave no black plume as a token of that lie thy soul hath spoken. Leave my loneliness unbroken. Quit the bust above the door. Take thy beak from out my heart, and take thy form from off my door. Quoth the raven, never more. Still is sitting, and the raven never flitting, still is sitting on the pallid bust of Pallas just above my chamber door. And his eyes have all the seeming of a demon's that is dreaming, and the lamplight, oh, him streaming, throws his shadow on the floor. And my soul from out that chateau that lies floating on that floor shall be lifted never more. This has been a very interesting adaptation of Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven, read to you aloud by Casey Alexander Smith, a part of the Manga Classic Stories of Edgar Allan Poe. Thank you. Don't forget to subscribe and like.